Hey, Riddle here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I'm going to discuss something a little off topic, and that is, what are the basic manners or civilities when you are invited to someone's home for dinner? For a dinner, excuse me. I've noticed recently, since we've moved to Northern California, that even adults with really high-paying jobs are ignorant to the basics of common civilities and common manners in regards to entertaining, but more so being entertained. So instead of laying down judgment and assuming that everyone was taught these things by either their parents or their grandparents, or when they went to college, or somewhere along the way, it seems that many people just missed this class. And that's the thing. Having class has less to do about how much money you have and a lot more to do with how you conduct yourself socially and in society. Most of my life, I was an artist and I had very little money, but I've always been invited and welcomed by the wealthy and the educated because of how I carried myself. So let's get started. I invite you to my home for dinner on Saturday at 4 o'clock. What do you do? First of all, you want to know if it is casual or if it is dress. You want to know because you don't want to show up to a dinner with respectable people and somewhere, a dinner that people have really gone out to give you their finest in jeans and a t-shirt. It's just, it's an honoring of their time and their gift to you, and to celebrate and experience something finer in life that was provided for you. And the least you can do is respect that atmosphere by putting a little effort into getting a little cleaned up. In general, Americans have become, really casual to the point of, borderline slobs. And whatever, if you like to wear what you wear when you're cleaning your garage or in the garden out to dinner, I guess that's the best you could do. But if you want to be respected and welcomed back into the higher, more fine segments of society, you will have to try a little bit harder. Number two, the first thing you have to remember, it's not all about you, and you want to ask your guest, what can I bring? So if they're going to be serving fish, they may suggest white wine. If they are really busy focusing on the main dishes and what have you, they may suggest to you to bring dessert. They may say, we have it all covered. Please don't bring anything. In that case, bring flowers. Like, even if they say don't bring anything, bring something. Bring something thoughtful, like a flower, a bouquet of flowers, a flower arrangement, and a bottle of wine. Even if they say don't bring anything, unless they're sober and they don't drink alcohol, you can bring a nice bottle of wine or some type of high-end beverage. People may not remember if you don't bring anything, but they definitely will remember you if you do bring something, and something with some form of thought and consideration, something, beyond the basics. Number three, if I tell you dinner is at 4 o'clock and you ask me, what time would you like us to show up? And I tell you at 3:30, then you show up at 3:30. If you get caught up in traffic or some accident, of course things happen, but you're going to want to let your guests know, because so very few people cook anymore or entertain. They don't realize it's a huge investment of time, money, food, And so if I'm planning you to be there at 3:30 so I can serve you cocktails and an hors d'oeuvre, and then dinner is being cooked and is going to be hot and served at 4, and you don't get there till 4:30, the whole thing is a mess. Plus, it's timing, especially if you're not the only guests, because I have to receive you, I have to give you a drink, I have to introduce you. And so if you show up a half hour to an hour late, you've basically sabotaged the art and the timing of my presentation, the food, and everything that is being created for you, or you are definitely a huge part of this production. Number 3. So you're in this person's home that you have been invited to. It's a nice common courtesy, even if their house is plain, to find something to focus on, a nice compliment. Maybe they have a beautiful garden, maybe they have a beautiful couch. It's really nice to, because you've been invited to their home, to come up with some way to make the host feel proud or like you are happy to be in their atmosphere. Another thing, don't bring up politics at dinner. We had a dinner last week and it got a bit heated. Now, there is room to discuss politics and religion and those type of things. Usually the best time is after dinner because people aren't hungry anymore and they tend to be a little more relaxed. But if you bring up sensitive topics during dinner, it can be precarious. It could be upsetting to the guests. It takes the focus off of the joy of eating and the simplicity of eating. And everyone knows it's just plain rude to discuss religion and politics during a meal. And when these things were brought up at our last dinner, luckily we were able to hijack that and divert it into another direction. But there were, good 10, 15 minutes that we had to do these weird social acrobats to get things re-leveled and the focus back on happily enjoying the meal. And last but not least, so you've had this wonderful meal and you've had dessert and you've had libations and you've had a good time and you say goodbye to your hosts and you go back home and 24 hours has passed. So people no longer send official thank you letters in the mail. That's very, very rare. But that doesn't mean that you're completely off the hook. What I noticed 9 times out of 10 around here, and I'm talking about people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, is they miss the fact that the day after, or even 2 days after you have been to someone's home for a celebration or a meal, it is a common courtesy to send a text or an email thanking your host and telling them that you've had a good time. And however you want to express your appreciation, the social interaction should be finalized with your gratitude in either a handwritten card, an email, or a text. And the last thing I would say that often disappoints me, being the entertainer or the meal provider more often than not, is that if you have the same resources, and even if you don't have the space, but you have the economic resources, if your host has provided you a lovely dinner, and especially if they've provided it for you more than once, it's probably in good taste to eventually invite them to a dinner inside or outside of your home and treat them to a dinner to reciprocate the gesture. Because we live in such a self-absorbed world anymore, I just find, people who are generous and give it their all anymore tend to be taken advantage of. And instead of wanting to give the world your best and socialize and continue to share your life and your best with people, after a while, when no one ever reciprocates back or can give you a, simple text or phone call in and thank you within a couple days after, you have a amazing dinner. It's hard to feel motivated to continue to share your life and your, um, those your talents and your generosity with people, because it just feels so one way and so selfish. And I know a lot of amazing people who years of hosting parties and dinners and giving and giving and giving with no one ever inviting them or giving back to them. And after a while you get very disappointed and you get very burned out by the take, take, take. So it's always important to give back, and you want to especially give back to generous people, because it helps to show them that they're valued, and it will motivate them to continue to share with you and give their best. And those are my favorite, that's my favorite advice or favorite tips around classing up your act, kids, about dinners, hosting dinners, and being hosted at dinners. And that's it. Bye.